Today, my co host Jamie and I had a wonderful discussion with Ardaman Singh, who is the Chief Human Resource Officer with the Greater Somerset YMCA. We talked about a range of topics, including how do you support your employees post pandemic? How do you support such a diverse group of employees as well as clients that the YMCA serves? How do you balance a strong culture that has policy and procedures in place, but also has flexibility and agility in terms of responding to the needs of the people that you serve, and a host of other topics? Welcome back, everybody, to Thrive with R3. I am one of your co-hosts, Dr. George Vergolias, and Chief Clinical Officer with R3 Continuum. And I want to introduce my co-host, Jamie Gassmann.
Hi, everyone. Jamie Gassmann here, co-host on Thrive with R3. Today, we have the pleasure of hosting Ardaman Singh, a seasoned human resource officer of the YMCA. Ardaman, could you share a bit about your background and shed some light on YMCA's mission for our listeners?
Thank you for having me, Dr. Vergolias and Jamie. It's a pleasure being here. I can share that I am a seasoned HR professional for over 20 years of HR experience, started as a compensation analyst at New York University, and have moved up the ladder, and now I'm the Chief HR Officer at the Greater Somerset County YMCA. The Greater Somerset County YMCA is a nonprofit community benefit organizations. It helps to build people grow in spirit, mind, and body. Our mission is guided by our core principles of caring, honesty, respect, and responsibility. That is our mission, and that's what we work for achieving every day of our lives.
Thank you for that, Ardaman. So, a question: working for a nonprofit like the YMCA, and with the mission and the values that you just shared, and really being part or an extension of a global organization, how does that shift the HR lens in terms of other sectors that might not be global or it might not have such human-centered values as part of their underlying mission?
Well, especially for working for an organization like the YMCA, one of the significant shifts from an HR lens compared to other sections is the emphasis on the mission itself. At the YMCA, we are driven by the mission to empower individuals and communities through programs focused on youth development, healthy living, and social responsibility. This mission driven approach permeates everything that we do, including how we attract, retain, and develop talent. Additionally, being part of this global organization, we also mean that we have to be very culturally sensitive and inclusive in our HR practices. We serve diverse communities with diverse needs, so our HR lens has to be focused on creating those inclusive policies and practices. And we also make sure that it resonates across the cultures and the geographies. Our community engagements and partnerships has to be successfully intertwined with the well-being of the communities that we serve.
A lot of organizations, especially when you're working with community and, whether children and adults, how do you make sure that you are hitting all of those different diverse groups within your community? What are some of the tactics you use to kind of pull in resources or to make sure you've got staff or somebody if they need translation services and things like that? How do you make sure that you're able to connect to everybody within that community?
The biggest key is feedback. We use the mechanism of feedback, and we'll use, staff surveys, we'll use focus groups, we will use, one-on-one conversations to understand the needs and the preferences. And those feedbacks actually help us shape our benefit packages, our training programs, and our support services. Another critical strategy that we use is career development and growth. We offer a variety of training and development programs and opportunities, right from leadership programs to skill workshops designed to empower our employees to reach their full potential. And by investing in their growth, we're not only supporting their personal and professional development, but also strengthening our whole organization as a whole. So those I feel are, the key strategies we use.
Yeah, that's great. And there's so many organizations. I'm going to sound like Debbie Downer right now, and that's not my intention. But there's Jamie and I work a lot, and I consult with a lot of different organizations, and it's surprising post pandemic how many do not focus on the things you're talking about, right? Feedback, a growth mindset, diversity and inclusion, right? To the degree that you all do. So here's my next question is, in that context and being a chief human resource officer, are there personal goals that you have around wanting to foster or develop an environment where your employees feel that they can thrive both personally and professionally? And I ask that because the bar must be a bit higher for the YMCA compared to some other organizations that either give those things lip service or they just don't care about them at all. So I'm curious what your kind of personal goals are in your role around those.
So it's so aligned. That was the main reason why I actually came to work for the Y. There have been people around me who have been with the Y for so many years. I'm just about to complete almost 2 years here. And I wake up every day, excited and looking forward to coming to work here because it completely aligns with my personal goals. It's that learning environment, that thriving environment where we're making a difference. They help me, my supervisors, my peers, they let me go and do my own personal and professional development. Like I was at the Women Leadership Conference on Friday, which was hosted by New Jersey school boards. I sit on my school boards in my town. And I brought in, I learned so much. I listened to speakers. And since I walked in this morning, I've been sharing that with my peers here. I learned this. I spoke to a few phenomenal speakers, and I've already connected with them to have them come and speak at one of our gatherings and speaker engagements. As a whole, our YMCA also does multicultural leadership development programs. We have cohorts where we mentor and mentee relationships are done, coaching is done. And that's all part of my personal development because I'm part of SHRM and Jamie and I met part of SHRM. And, that's how we're making and building those relationships. It's people. It's, that's how we thrive off of each other. And I think those personal goals are fostering in that environment at the YMCA, and it's helping me and helping the people around me.
That personal development opportunity is so huge. Like I said, sometimes there's things outside of the organization that help to develop those employees, and the organization benefits from that. So it doesn't, sometimes can't all be done inside the office setting. So that is great that you bring those elements back to the group. So on an organizational level, how does the YMCA ensure that its employees feel supported and valued?
So that's our top priority at the Y. And we have several initiatives in place to achieve that. And the biggest one is communication and transparency. That's the key thing. We regularly share updates from our leadership. We celebrate our employee achievements. And we also solicit feedback from various channels. We offer comprehensive benefits packages that will prioritize our employees' well being, including their healthcare options, retirement options, flexible work arrangements. Plus, we have the traditional benefits like mental health support, employee assistance programs, and wellness initiatives. And I would also say that, moreover, on top of that, our organizational cultural collaboration and teamness. With that, we encourage open dialogue, idea sharing across all levels of the organization. We have to foster that sense of belongingness and inclusion. And that's our goal, to create a workplace where every employee feels heard, feels respected, feels empowered to contribute to our shared mission.
Yeah, a real psychologically safe environment to come to work, be who you are, and share what you have to share with the broader group. It's beautiful.
And do that in a context where there's a lot of diversity, right? There's a lot of range of what individuals identify around those values, which kind of segues into my next question. Because when you think of the HR field as a whole, and I know that's a heterogeneous group, but still, And you think of it post pandemic with all the challenges of getting back to work, hybrid work, all the other changes that we've done. And then you add in, I'm gonna generally bundle a bunch of people together, and I realize I'm talking in the aggregate, but younger workers, right? I'm Gen X. I'm 55, so I came up at a time, and at least started my career at a time where you just worked. Like that was the message. I remember hearing from my first boss slash mentor, um, "Oh, you can't leave a job in less than 5 years because it looks terrible on a resume." Well, we have a whole generation of younger, very talented workers. I'm just going to say talent, who they want corporate responsibility. They want to feel the values that Ardaman, that you were just talking about, and they're not afraid to move on to go find the good fit. Right? I have a saying: if I'm not loving and learning, I'm leaving. If I don't love my job and I'm not learning and growing, I'm moving on. But that's really like fitting for this younger talent group that's coming up in the corporate world. So my question, I know that was a long intro, how do you stay up to date with challenges, not challenge well challenges, but also trends and developments in the HR field, so that you guys are current, right, and you can still attract and retain top talent?
So primarily attending a lot of, industry conferences, seminars, webinars. I participate in a lot of professional networks as part of the Sherm Executive Network Group. I engage with thoughtful leaders like yourselves, through webinars and podcasts. I prioritize continuous learning and professional development, not just for myself, but for my entire HR team, as well as the executive leadership team. We participate regularly in training programs, workshops that are actually focused on emerging HR trends, leadership, best practices, diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. It's the commitment, and we have been charged with that commitment. We have a supportive group right from top to bottom that lets us navigate the evolving landscape of HR. We read through all these, you know, books, and we have book clubs that we go through, and we just try and bring these innovative solutions to our organization, and that's how we stay up to date.
I know, Ardaman, that you bring 20 plus years experience, right, in a range of areas. What about the new HR manager who has 4 or 5 years of experience, and they look out at the field and they see all of these um, sources of potential information, and they're trying to figure out, how do I digest this? Who should I follow for kind of the best insights? Is there a thought leader in the HR space that you maybe has written a book or maybe does a podcast that you are a fan of, or somebody in that area that you would direct them to?
I love Simon Sinek. He's one of my favorites.
Same.
I also enjoy, other authors. Jeffrey Klein is one of my, very favorite authors. Greg Hawkes. They've been, a lot of thought leaders. Another one that I really enjoy is Brené Brown. I love her podcasts and her books. So I share those, with my, it's so nice that you mentioned the HR leader, the HR manager. My own HR manager just finished her master's and joined us like a year ago. And those are her exact questions, young to the field, no experience, came right out of college. And she loves that mentoring approach that, she's getting from us. She's like, I want to learn this, I want to explore that. And slowly I'm, introducing her to payroll, benefits, um, recruiting, hiring, attending job fairs. And I'm like, find your niche, see where you enjoy it. Let me know what you don't enjoy, let me know what you enjoy. And that's where we build your trajectory. I give her opportunities to attend other, HR conferences, webinars, and that's how we help them. I mean, I'm not going to be here forever. We
Right.
have to start building our succession plan
That's
as well.
right. I love
So
Mhm.
that.
those are all the things that, I'll share with her, and hopefully she'll be, on the path like myself. I started as a generalist as well,
Yeah, that's
and then
great.
I found my niche that, I like strategic HR, and I like, the benefit aspect of it. And that's how I found my path.
I was just on a marketing panel not that long ago talking about some of the same things you were just sharing, Ardaman, about that intentional getting to know those employees, understanding what career path looks desirable for them. And then as their leader, how do you put the stepping stones in place so they can take that path. What educational resources can you provide? And it's always such a compliment when one of your employees looks up to you as a mentor, and
Yes.
vocalizes that. I mean, I've experienced that myself in my career, and that is just such a reward and testament to your leadership. So amazing. Great job on
Thank
that.
you.
So looking at how the YMCA, so talking about these programs, I know you kind of mentioned, you really getting to know those employees and diving into kind of their career path and how they grow and how do you prepare them and kind of get them, that succession plan, if you will. But how does the YMCA decide which programs to launch or implement? When you look specifically at some of the well-being programs, there's a lot of options out there. There's apps, there's, vendors like R3. How do you decide which programs you're going to launch or implement, especially when it comes to, that well-being and also the development? What are some of the approaches you take to vet out those vendors, but also to make the decision in terms of what's going to be the best fit for those employees?
So we take a very thoughtful and inclusive approach, particularly those focused on employee well-being and development. Our decision-making process begins with gathering an input from employees through the surveys, as I mentioned, the focus groups and the feedback sessions. We'll identify the gaps. We'll identify their needs, their challenges, and their aspirations. And then we'll go on to, do a research on the industry best practices and trends. Once we do that, we'll seek input from other HR professionals and consultants and experts in the relevant field. Once we're done with that, it helps us identify those programs and initiatives that align with our organizational values and mission while addressing the specific needs of our workforce. Furthermore, we also try and collaborate with cross-cultural functional teams that new programs are integrated seamlessly into the organizational culture. We'll provide those programs that are aligned with our strategic plan and priorities. And then by involving those employees in the process, we leverage data-driven insights, make informed decisions, and have a meaningful impact on employees' well-being and development. And then the last part is we'll find, if we have money to fund it. We'll go out to private funders. We'll see if there are any grants available that we can apply for so that we can run the program efficiently, not just for that 1 year, but, in the long run. And then we'll find, sources of income that we can get that is regular income so that program doesn't start and then have a abrupt ending to it. And that's how we'll approach it.
That's a lot, which is like, it's impressive the degree of thinking. Again, in our background in the consulting that we do, there's a lot of companies doing really good things. There's not a lot of companies doing a lot of really good things. So that's really exciting to hear. I'm going to slightly pivot. Now, correct me, Ardaman, you came to the Y kind of on the back end of the pandemic, correct? It was kind of
Correct.
like when people were getting back to work.
Yes.
But again, you've got 20 years experience in the field. So my question is, how do you see the lingering effects that are still impacting the role of HR and the mission of HR from the pandemic, as well as what are the organizational dynamics that has impacted as we still try to figure out post-pandemic work life? Any thoughts on that?
So there has been a lasting impact, especially for the Ys, because, there are very few administrative positions that could still be remote, but most of our employees, work to support our membership. And we have programs and services that require actually in-person workforce. So for those programs that can actually be remote, we have provided reasonable flexibility. But however, because majority of our workforce is in person, our management team is also on site because we have to bring that unique blend of equity, remote capable roles, also alongside the essential in-person positions. And we had to reevaluate all our HR practices. So we heightened our significant impact of flexibility, work-life balance, especially for those remote positions. We have implemented those flexible work arrangements to accommodate those employee needs and performances and preferences. This shift has, implications for HR in terms of training those employees on new platforms. ensuring equitable access to resources. So there has been a dynamic shift, and it's hard sometimes. The pandemic has definitely accelerated the adoption of technology for our operations team. We've invested in digital tools to facilitate communication, member engagement, program delivery, and technology has been the biggest key. You know, I would also say the biggest impact has been underscoring the importance of mental health. And you would know that better than no one else. Well being in the workplace. And we actually are trying our best to place greater emphasis on that. Mental health resources, employee assistance programs, fostering a supportive, environment for our on-site staff. We've implemented initiatives to promote work-life balance, mindfulness, stress management techniques, having programs that not only the members but even that the staff can enjoy, yoga, mindfulness, all those kind of new classes have been introduced at the Y. And there are, lingering effects that are constantly having us change our HR practices, emphasizing the need for agility, empathy, and a holistic approach. So we're committed to adapting our practices to meet this evolving need. It's an ongoing process, it will take time, and it continues to evolve.
I love that word agility, by the way. I don't think it's used enough in workplace management roles, but I really like that.
Yeah,
It's a little different than flexibility, and I'm not going to go down this semantic debate, but it's not used enough. So I just want to
yeah,
celebrate that
yeah.
for a second. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jamie?
Yeah, I mean, because like that's the key, right? There are a lot of those types of jobs where it's not an at-home job. You're working with the public, you're working with your patrons coming in, and they have to be on site. So I love that you're
Yeah.
finding creative ways to accommodate that worker that wants to be, more remote, but the role just doesn't call for
Yeah.
that. And so that's great, great thinking on your part.
I was just going to add, it's very difficult to give a swim lesson to a group of 7-year-olds remotely, right?
Yeah.
It's hardwired into so much that the Y does, right? You need to be on site and engaging with people in real life.
Right. And the key is also, if administrative staff sits at home, we're not being equitable. We have to be there for our staff.
Well, and there's just things that you see and hear and learn when you're on site that's different than when you're sitting at home. There's just a completely different experience in the workplace. And I would imagine in the context of what the why, you know, being able to see things in action and be able to then make improvements where you see them. You're not going to see that if you're sitting at home and it's a remote and you've got one little lens of view. It just opens up that view even more. Because at the Y, you know, how many actual locations are underneath your purview from an HR perspective in your area?
We have an association and we have actually 7 Ys that come under that. Two of those Ys are without walls, we call. So we don't have a physical building, but we go into the community and run programs for them, like before care, after care, and bring programs into their schools, into their municipal buildings. So two of those are, Y without walls.
Right. Yeah, my kids have participated in the YMCA after school program before COVID. I'm very familiar with that. So, question for you, because obviously you have 7 different locations. 2 of them you're saying, without walls, more kind of involved and integrated into the community. There's a lot of different situations that can take place. You've got swimming pools, you've got different gyms, and you're talking most of them it's really children and families and parents and maybe elderly, because I know the YMCA near me has a gym facility that's catered towards more of that elderly population. So these can be really delicate. I mean, you're dealing with the public, and how does the MCA, how do you address these situations and support when something happens that could be traumatic or catastrophic? How do you support your employees through those types of situations? Because I imagine you've got some, patrons that come daily. They get to know them. They almost become like family. So what are some of the approaches that you take to make sure they feel supported, especially when something happens that is quite impactful?
So robust policies and practices, that's the key. We have, a proactive and a compassionate approach. We have those policies and practices in place. We have the accident incident reporting, which prioritizes, safety and well-being of everyone involved. And on top of that, it's prioritizing training of our staff, especially those that are working directly with children and families. We covered training topics like children protection, conflict resolution, communication skills. All our staff, including all of us in administration, are CPR and first aid certified. We are ensuring that especially, our employees are equipped with the necessary tools and knowledge, empower them to handle those situations sensitively and effectively. If we have an incident that happens, we have designated protocols that guide our responsibility to immediately, address the situation, ensure the safety of all the individuals involved, conduct thorough investigations, and throughout that investigation, we have to provide the emotional support and resources to our employees, recognizing the impact, that these situations may have on their own well-being. And, we prioritize open communications with parents and caregivers, maintaining the transparency and share, what is necessary, ensuring that, we employees know that the marketing department is the one that shares communication out. You're not supposed to, share anything out that is needed. So all protocols and policies are in place. They're pasted all across the walls. Our codes are pasted all across the walls. So everybody sees them 24/7 and they know what they're supposed to do at the right time. You know, that's the key. And the goal is basically, to create a safe and welcoming environment. And that's for all our members and communities. And we have to take responsibility for that. But we take it as a collective responsibility because we say the Y is for all. So, so all of us need to take that responsibility together.
I love, I love that. I love that response, Ardaman, especially as a threat guy. So, my background is in workplace violence, which is kind of interesting, right? Here we are talking about kids and seniors and, going to the YMCA. But in that space, I talk a lot about, what are the 5 things you need to have a safe work environment? And I'm not being redundant when I say number 1 is have a plan. Number 2, have a plan. Number 3, have a plan. Number 4, train to the plan. And 5, execute the plan. And those are all points of breakdown. What I love is earlier talking about agility and being open to having people feel heard and respected. And maybe we could throw on flexibility there, but it doesn't mean you give up having structure, right? Having policies
Right.
and procedures in place. Because you do need that guideline. And what's funny is I've got a 14-year-old son. Actually, today's his birthday. So shout out to Lamy. Happy birthday, buddy. He's probably not listening to this at 14, but who knows? But he goes to the Y every day and I pick him up. And, he's a good kid, but he's always trying to push certain limits, right? Certain, trying to work out on a certain machine in a certain way. And the workers there are very respectful and kind, but they're also firm on here. Our policy is you got to keep your shoes on. You can't lift weights without shoes on. You got to protect your toes, whatever it may be. And I really come to respect that. So I just wanted to highlight as a follow up to your response that's great that you guys have that flexibility of strong policy and procedures, and yet the ability to also be agile. Okay, so I want to be respectful of your time, Ardaman, and we're kind of getting to the end here. So let me end with this question. Can you elaborate on how the YMCA ensures that its employees are equipped to handle the kinds of challenging situations that that we've been talking about, but at the same time supporting, or I'm sorry, creating a supportive culture? Because that can be a balance sometimes, that natural tension, right? If you want to be strict, you want to be firm, and yet sometimes people perceive that as, well, you're not supporting me. You're not working with me. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah. As I said, we are stronger together. And, throughout the year, we have many opportunities for collaborations, partnerships, and they range from, volunteering, sponsoring special events to members and programs. We're committed at the Y, we're committed to engage, encourage, and support individuals on their journey to connect with friends, pursue their interests, and learn how to live healthier. We're here for you every day to ensure that you, your family, and our community have the resources and support needed to learn, to grow, and, thrive. We offer these range of programs: financial assistance, scholarship, career forum discussions for job seekers, disease prevention management, sexual abuse prevention, and so many more. And that's what, we're striving for. And that's our goal. And we are here, we empower everyone, no matter who they are, where they are from. It's to fulfill our purpose of strengthening community for all. We're committed to being an inclusive organization, and we want to address collectively the impact to address social inequalities. That brings me back to our mission, and that's, our collective mission to fulfill our mission together.
That's great.
So beautifully stated, Ardaman. Thank
Yeah.
you so much for sharing all of that insight and how you help not just help your people to thrive, but really your communities to thrive. Just beautiful.
Well, in that kind of environment, I think, well, not just I think, in my experience consulting with many organizations, it becomes contagious. It turns into a flywheel where it really becomes, that's where people want to stay. That's where people want to engage. People want to work. And it's really fascinating to see that when it takes root. That's great.
Thank you all for listening. We hope you've enjoyed this episode of Thrive with R3.
R3 is a workplace behavioral health pioneer and innovator, providing rapid response and ongoing behavioral health solutions that help people and organizations recover, perform, and thrive in the wake of disruption and stress.
For more episodes, insights, and resources, visit thrivewithr3.com.